beautiful creative soul, and welcome back to another episode of Chakra-Care for the Creative Soul. Hello, I'm your host today, Pollyanna Blanco, and at Chakra-Care for the Creative Soul, we're doing this multi-part series about how to care for your spiritual hygiene. So basically, today's topic is spiritual hygiene for lightworkers, beyond balancing, and today it's your sacral chakra that we're going to be beyond balancing, because there's so much talk out there about balancing chakras, and there's a lot of talk about opening them, and there's less talk about actually stabilizing them. And that's something that in my own journey I've recognized is a necessary step in the process of returning to wholeness. And I'm going to unpack that a little bit more today. First of all, I hope you've been having a wonderful week. And if you didn't catch last week's episode when I was talking about the root chakra, I'm just going to take a moment and recap briefly, because and if you're new to the chakras, I'll just share this, although I'm pretty sure if you're watching on Oneness Talk Radio, you're very familiar with chakras. And at the same time, I want everyone to know about them because they are such a phenomenal map back to the truth of who we are. So simply put, the working definition of a chakra that I like to use is an energetic gateway, an information processing center in our body. And we have 7 in-body chakras that, sort of correspond to our spinal column, to our endocrine system, to different organs in our bodies, but they basically kind of line up along our spinal system, our nervous system that feeds into the spinal column. And of course, there are many more chakras than the 7 in-body chakras, which are sort of the classic ones that most people talk about. And there are ascended ones and there are minor ones. I'm feeling really guided in this series to talk about the ones that are the first 3 chakras especially, and we'll move through all 7 of them. But the first 3 are so pivotal to really making sure that we have a stable foundation and a remembrance of who we are beyond the personality mind. And so the root chakra, as a quick recap, if you're just catching this episode first and you're newer to chakras, is that the first chakra, or the root chakra, which is located at your tailbone, is essentially about safety and survival. It affects things like our finances, our sense of how much fear we have in our lives, and how much it's actually driving and motivating our choices and our actions and just our perception of what it is like to be in the world, and the beliefs we have about that. It's very much about our adrenals on a physical level, that tendency to try to have the body itself restore equilibrium when we've been in that survival mode. And it's also connected to the bones. It's very much about the foundational structure of our very human experience in life. So moving forward today into the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is amazing because it really is connected to our womb space. And our womb space is something that we often associate with being, in female identifying people. However, everyone has a womb space, absolutely everyone. And it's energetic. It's that seed of creation within ourselves. And so the sacral chakra is this place where we literally have the capacity, both sometimes physically, if we actually have a physical womb space, to birth a baby, and also energetically to birth our dreams. So this is why this episode is so key for everything right now and where we are at in the world, because the world itself is going through a massive rebirthing process. And we're right at this precious moment where it's so important to be paying attention to our energetic self-care, which is essentially how I define spiritual self-care. Just to add another piece into that, if you're catching this episode for the first time, I like to see and describe, and I'd be interested if you have a description of it too. Please feel free. We have a chat if you're watching this live. Thank you so much. I'd love to hear your comments, questions in the chat. And I apologize last week. I got swept up in what I was sharing, and I did comment after the show. To those of you who are watching, thank you so much for your comments. I will make a point a little later on in the show today to check for your comments and your questions. So the sacral chakra is really this place of opening up to all the possibilities in our lives, right? And I'm not sure if I just completed that thought because I went off on a little tangent there. So hopefully I'll loop back around. So the sacral chakra is, I know I was talking about the collective rebirthing we're all going through. The collective rebirthing, oh, right, spiritual hygiene, yes, circled back around. Okay, what is spiritual hygiene? Spiritual hygiene is that capacity to stay online with the divine. And so just the way we might take a shower to cleanse our physical bodies, or if we're sweaty, and actually I just went out for a big long walk this morning and I was a little sweaty around here. I did take a shower. And in the shower, as I was sharing last week, the spiritual hygiene practice I use daily as I'm cleansing my physical body, I'm also cleansing my emotional, my mental, and even my spiritual body. I feel like all the work that is done around chakras, it touches every aspect of our being. It touches our physical, our emotional, our mental, our spiritual, through the awakening of our consciousness, which is what healing is in itself. It's consciousness as healing. And I learned that from my wonderful medical intuitive teacher, probably bar none, the best one in the world, Master Sri Ram Ka, who is now ascended in form. And that's what he always shared. And it's always been such a powerful message in my own life that really lit something up inside of me. And so really how we pay attention to these gateways that offer energetic feedback in our body can help us begin to expand beyond just looking at our experience only through the mental, or only through the emotional, or only through the physical, to become more aware that whether we realize it or not, it's all going on simultaneously. And this is truly multi-dimensional awareness, to be able to notice what we're noticing from many different perspectives and vantage points, and ideally to have a conversation, a roundtable conversation, rather than having one of those aspects of our experience be sort of the loudest and drowning out the other ones, and not being able to receive the rich feedback that they offer us. So this has been my own journey as well too, and this is why I feel so passionate about sharing this with all of you. So what I felt really guided to share today with all of you is that the key theme with the sacral chakra is our relationships, and this is when we first maybe think about relationships, we often think about relationships to people outside of ourselves or to our pets. It's also about the relationship that we have with ourselves. And really, this is at the heart of my message behind restoring the sacred to your self-care. It starts with noticing what's going on inside of us, so we can break those habitual patterns, those default mode settings in ourselves that keep us locked into, repeating cycles and patterns that are no longer serving us, so we can claim the soul lessons and then release the rest, thank it and release it, and then move forward lighter with more spaciousness within ourselves, so that we can co-create something even better. And it's so interesting because with the sacral chakra, when we're carrying around old stories, especially about relationships, it often starts with other people because they're beautiful, powerful soul mirrors for us. He done me wrong songs, she done me wrong songs, they done me wrong songs, or old grievances, old hurts, judgments, resentments. And I'm tapping my sacral center as I say that. This can create like many layers of almost like just resistance or plaque, sort of psychic plaque in this area. And again, this can become a default setting. And relationship itself, in a nutshell, has a way of keeping us stuck in this triangle of victim, persecutor, and rescuer energy. It's a dynamic, it's an energetic patterning that once we become adapted to it, we don't even see that it's there. And the mind, especially being that incredibly slippery and sophisticated coping mechanism, will really keep it shrouded and hidden in plain sight. And we'll wonder why we're we're feeling the way we do and thinking the way we do and experiencing the world as we do. One of the telltale signs in my own journey that I came to recognize was, and sometimes people call these life scripts, is why does this always happen to me? You know, or things like, but especially the why does this always happen to me? When I find with the sacral chakra, that is a very powerful life script. And it's a red flag that there's a dynamic where we're shifting between being the victim of an unpleasant experience that was done to us by something or someone else. And then that something or someone else is the persecutor. And then we turn to a friend or a confidant or someone or something, even because the sacral chakra can also be about our addictions and our compulsions for relief, for rescue, to feel better. And yet what we miss in the process of the cycle is everything that is seeking to keep us stuck in it. It's this dynamic that never, we were always seeking a resolution, and yet a resolution is never made available other than temporary relief, which ultimately is just a coping mechanism, and it's not true healing. It might feel better for a few moments, an hour, a couple of hours, a day, even a week, maybe if you're lucky, even a bit longer. But then you hear yourself saying the same thing again. Why does this always happen to me? So this is where working with the sacral chakra and, opening it, it's opening our awareness to the fact that this pattern could maybe even be playing out, and becoming aware of it. So then we can start to, be curious about it. Again, what I found in my own journey is that it's not about judging ourselves, because another thing with the sacral chakra is it's very much connected to feelings of guilt. The root chakra, and I don't think I mentioned this last time, or maybe I did, but I'm going to mention it now. So I'm glad you're catching this episode, is it's very much a shame-based frequency of energy. There's something called the Hawkins Scale, and Master Sri Ramkot expanded on it as well too, to add in ascended consciousness to it. You can check out that information at shriankira.com if you'd like to learn more. They have amazing free resources. Give them a shout out right now. The Hawkins Scale is basically a scale of different emotional frequencies that were based on 20 years of muscle testing that this medical doctor, David R. Hawkins, did. And he literally calibrated different emotional states to different energetic frequencies and megahertz and worldviews. And at the bottom of the scale, and as human beings, we experience all of them, but at the bottom of the scale was shame, that there's something wrong with me. That's what shame is. There's something wrong with me. Not I did something wrong, but there's something wrong with me. The sacral chakra, we move up a little bit in that scale, and it's the feeling of guilt. And the feeling of guilt is that I've done something wrong. Now, this can be healthy in one sense. If we literally did do something that harmed ourselves or another person, then it's a good indication to, that we're way out of alignment. However, what can start to happen in our journey when we repress a lot of our feelings, when we live only through our heads, and when we drag our bodies around and use our willpower to just force them to do a command, not from our heart and soul, but from our ego mind, what we would have it do. What can happen is that we start to feel this sort of low grade sensation or felt sense of guilt, and we can't pinpoint it to a specific instance, a specific event and action. It's just like a low grade sense that no matter what, I'm always doing something wrong. And it's not, no, you try to pinpoint it and you just can't. Well, this is a very important aspect because this is an indication that we're in judgment. This is an indication that rather than having curiosity, we're going into judgment. And the judgment is also connected to the root chakra and how we feel, just we don't have the right to be here. We don't have the right to be ourselves. And all of this circles back into the limiting beliefs, the thought forms, the strongholds, the energetic strongholds. And what I mean by an energetic stronghold is these could be, ancestral programs that have been passed down intergenerationally, stored on an epigenetic level, even beyond our conscious awareness in our DNA, on a cellular level, that, even on a cultural level, certain experiences that our ancestors have gone through, maybe it's been something heavy like war or famine or drought or all kinds of things. I mean, it's endless, the possibilities. But those are the kinds of messagings that we pick up both consciously and subconsciously. And on a soul level, we signed up for to catapult us and help us rise to the next level of expansion and awareness. And so they're there, right? So this is where everything starts to get very interconnected. And that's why the sacral chakra is the next sort of expansion up in our awareness from the root chakra, because the root chakra is, as we start to anchor that sense of peace, that we do have a right to be here, we are okay as we are, then we move up into the sacral chakra with our awareness. The sacral chakra is very much inviting us to take a look at, if I'm here now, how am I in relationship to myself and other people? And when we're in a relationship that has expectations, where I want to say those expectations are a way of controlling the situation. A lot of people talk about this, but I'm going to also add another element in. So I hope you're still watching right now, because I was on my walk this morning and I got real clarity around this, that one of the things about sacred self-care and one of the important things about stabilizing our chakras is, it's like I said, staying online with the divine source energy. The divine creative source is who we all are at that essential level. It goes by different names. Some people call it God, the universe, Great Spirit, etc., Allah, etc. I'm going to call it divine creative source. It's that at oneness. It's that frequency of love. And when we are in relationship, it's true, we do have this perception of having needs, and so we tend to, when we identify with looking for relationships and seeing ourselves in relationship to everything and everyone, we often tend to get stuck in a lateral experience of looking, and we're taught this too, looking, and I mean, we need to at first as babies, because we need to be looked after and cared for by the responsible adults in our life. So we tend to look out sideways, laterally, right, to people to get our needs met. And the challenge with that is that as we become adults and as we have all these programs and patterns and habits and ways of getting our needs met, in this lateral way, there is this sort of opportunity to expand beyond that. And that's where our relationships start to be soul mirrors that invite us. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice today. I have a little sip of water here. Thank you. Into a different understanding of relationship that is more partnership. When we are looking for someone to behave a certain way, act a certain way so we can be happy, that expectation leads to disappointment, which keeps us stuck in that spin cycle of victim, persecutor, rescuer, that drama cycle. When we are remembering that we are divine creative source itself, that we are love, and this starts with the restoring the sacred to your self-care by showing up for ourselves with loving presence, with compassion rather than judgment, with curiosity, with noticing what's going on, with wanting to see and hear ourselves before we expect others to. And this is where so many of us get tripped up. And I've done this in my life more times than I care to share, right? And I've learned through those experiences that oh my goodness, my throat is really clear. It's interesting because the sacral chakra, as I'm talking, is very much connected to our throat chakra. And I felt guided to wear a very throat chakra color today. So I'm really curious to see what emerges on that episode too. And I'm getting a little tongue-tied today. So something cool is happening here. So basically, we have this opportunity to remember ourselves as source, divine creative source energy, and to know that we are the love. We are the love that we are seeking. And something miraculous really happens. And I've noticed this in my own life. When I just come back to center, come back into alignment with the truth of who I am through taking time to place my hands on my heart, to really come back into the present moment and allow my mind to take a break for a moment, allow myself to just be curious and check in with myself and notice what's going on and send love to those parts of myself. And I'm going to give you a specific example in just a second. And perhaps it's something you can consider practicing in your own life as an example of spiritual hygiene related to this topic today, this chakra. So when that happens, then one of the things I've noticed in my own journey is the need to have other people that was there in the past, the need to have other people show up for me in that way has just kind of fallen away. It's nice when people show up. It's nice when people, are present. It's nice when people offer you things, and we're not, and I know we're not meant to live in vacuums. We need relationship on a certain level. And I'm going to sincerely say relationship and not partnership, because relationship is what helps us to grow. Relationship is what, holds up a mirror to help us return home to ourselves. And relationship isn't always comfortable. Relationship isn't always easy. And yet it's a necessary step in our expansion to come home to ourselves, and then to be able to establish partnership within ourselves with our emotions, our thoughts, our body, our spirit, to let them all have a voice at the table, to love them, to embrace them, to love them back into the light of awareness. Then all the other stuff that we were seeking outside of ourselves voluntarily shows up naturally as it wants to, because it's a match for what we're feeling inside energetically. The other day, I was just asking myself what would bring me joy, and I felt, I'd love to see this friend. I feel so comfortable with her. I know she was on a vacation. She hadn't been on a vacation in years. I would just love to hear about her vacation. I'm so happy she finally had a chance to go on a vacation. That would bring me so much joy. I'd love to sit on a patio. It's beautiful patio weather, and just catch up with her. And so I followed that creative impulse. And lo and behold, it turns out she loves to make plans at the spur of the moment because it works with her life and her family. And sometimes she doesn't know till the last minute when she's going to be available. And it was very spontaneous. And she said yes. And we went for a lovely dinner on a patio. There was an art show going on. So we checked out beautiful art and lots of creativity. That was just an extra bonus and plus. And as we were sitting there, she kindly offered me a little gift that she brought back, a souvenir. And I cannot remember the last time someone has brought me a souvenir back from a trip. And I share this with you because not only did it touch my heart, and she shared, well, you've always been so generous with me. You've always given me little gifts and surprises when you didn't have to. And I had just let all that go, and I had no expectation of that. Is that a nice thing to receive? Absolutely. And this is just a simple example to illustrate that when we show up for ourselves and we just live in alignment with the truth of who we are, there will be experiences that continue to please and delight us. When we're living from that place of relationship where we kind of hook into the old beliefs and patterns that we need to look to someone outside of us for love, in whatever form that appears in, souvenir or whatever, attention or anything, then what happens is our connection to others becomes transactional. And those expectations hook us back into suffering and struggle in that dynamic of victim, persecutor, rescuer. And so, how do we break that cycle? It starts with restoring the sacred to your self-care. It starts with showing up for yourself. It starts with allowing those moments and those soul mirrors where things trigger. And this is the example I want to share with you right now. When I was going out for my walk and I was feeling really good, really rested, happy that I was keeping my promise to myself to go for a beautiful walk in nature and forest bathe this morning, I was feeling at one with the universe and very calm, very peaceful. And I was walking along, and all of a sudden I saw this big Rottweiler off leash. And years ago, I'd had an experience, a relationship moment with a guard dog where I was feeling at one with the universe, and I did a very foolish thing. And I'm not judging myself for it. I'm just discerning it wasn't the wisest thing, although I'm really grateful that it didn't go sideways. I was having a day where I was feeling at one with the universe, and I was, I don't know, I just, everything was coming up roses. And this was like over 20 years ago. I was with a friend and we were stopping to drop something off for his parents at a place, and a dog came to the door. And I've grown up with cats, and I was very close with my cats, and I'd always rub noses with them. Well, I went to rub noses in a nutshell with a guard dog. Not the best idea. And I literally saw his tonsils. His jaw opened up so large, and my friend yanked me back, and I bit my own lip, was the punchline. And then I kind of deked into the washroom as soon as the the homeowners opened the door, and tried to like stop the bleeding because I didn't want to explain what I had just done. So I see this Rottweiler this morning, and I was in peace, love, and harmony and joy. And I noticed inside of myself, there was a little residue from that old experience that I thought I had healed. Like, I'm pretty good with even big dogs now. And rather than going into that whole hog, I just held a compassionate space for myself. And I said, okay, what do you need from me right now? And what I needed was to calmly walk back to a bench and just sit down there and see if the owner was beside the dog. And I did that. And then I offered myself almost like a divine parent, the self-soothing, the compassion, the messaging, all is well, you know, and just was present for myself. I didn't judge myself. I didn't make myself wrong. I didn't make the owner wrong with his dog. When he did pass by, he could sense that I was timid around the dog, and the dog, because the dog was coming over to me, and he called the dog over more back his way. And I said, I'd really appreciate if you would keep your dog on leash here. And I spoke my truth. I don't know if he could hear me, he had, the headset on, but I spoke my truth. And then as I was walking, I noticed my thoughts wanting to perseverate on the experience. And I asked myself, how many minutes have I spent perseverating on this? So I didn't judge the perseverating, I just noticed it. And I asked myself, what if I could let go of this? What if I could just be here in this moment, just for this moment? What if I could let go of it? How would that be? Can I do that? Can I give that to myself? And so I did, and I really had let go of it. Then walking back the opposite direction to get home, there, lo and behold, was the dog and his owner again, and the dog was off leash. And this time, I wasn't in that fear place. And I said thank you, because the owner, although the dog was still off leash, had given me this opportunity to face the fear inside of myself. And he was also aware of the fact that his dog, yeah, I mean, he made his choice. I have no control over his choice. And then I did something, this is the spiritual hygiene piece, because had I been in victim, persecutor, rescuer, which I've done a million times before, like all of us, I would have gone into blaming him, and then I might have felt guilty afterwards because it's not very spiritual of me, and all this noisy, muddy stuff. Instead, I thanked his higher self for the opportunity to show up for this part of myself. I thanked the dog. And I also wished him, and this is the energetic hygiene piece, I wished him what I wanted in that moment. I said, may you have peace, may you have love, may you have joy, may you know that all is well in this moment. Because when I connected to that moment, I sensed that, that the story I was making up around him needing to have this dog because he felt fearful, and I felt, whether it was true or not, I just felt in that moment that if he's a soul mirror, he's bringing up some sort of piece around fear, and that's what's present, and that's anything that's fearful is an invitation for more love and more trust and more more partnership with all those parts of us. So it's not that I didn't spiritual bypass it and say, oh, everything's fine, I feel okay, when I didn't. I took action, I sat down, I responded to those parts of me and didn't ignore them. And I used what maybe some people might call common sense. What I also didn't do was I didn't go into anger, judgment, being opinionated, being righteous, making him wrong, making myself wrong. I didn't do any of that. And I can honestly say that this is so valuable, because here's the cherry on top of the ice cream cone. The beauty of that is when we begin to travel through life step by step, moment by moment, holding this possibility open for a different response to what's being mirrored to us, which then shifts the relationship we have not only to ourselves and to the others that we're experiencing life with and through, then it clears the space in here in our sacral chakra to actually not only seed our dreams, but sustain our dreams to term, almost like a baby, without throwing in the towel too soon. Because what I've noticed in my own journey is it's those self-sabotage patterns that are hooked into the VPR triangle that are, that the mind of form will try to tell us, oh, this is going to happen again because it happened in the past, or this person's like that, or this situation's like that, or you're like this or like that, because it's just trying to keep us safe. And that's where we'll start something, we'll follow that creative burst of inspiration, and then we'll self-sabotage it. We'll throw in the towel too soon. And so this is where right now, like as the equinox approaches next week, and by next Sunday, we'll be there. Really, hand on heart, take a deep breath in and out. I really sincerely invite you to pay extra close attention to your sacral chakra this week, and to really ask yourself, am I taking decisions that are in alignment with my dreams? Am I taking decisions that are a match energetically, emotionally, in terms of the frequency, for the frequency that is the desired, the ultimate outcome of my greatest vision and mission for being here? Or am I allowing this sort of experience from the past to interfere with it? And in which case, be curious, be open, send those parts of yourself love, ask them how old they are, ask them if, what they need from you, ask them how you can make it better for them, and then take that inspired action. And maybe keep a diary even too, to like write down how you're showing up for yourself differently, how you're listening to yourself, how you're tending to yourself. A lot of these are inner child experiences. So stabilizing this chakra, opening it is the awareness, balancing it is the taking the action of how we show up for ourselves, and the stabilizing it is being open to really shifting into a whole new integrated way of being in partnership rather than in relationship with our capacity to create in every moment. So the first chakra is really, but I have the right to create. I am a divine being in form. The second chakra is, I get to create. What do I want to create? How am I creating it? By showing up for myself and others. And so this is really so important. I'm going to take a peek in the chat and just see if there's anyone here. I think there might be. Oh, wonderful. Okay. I'm going to just put my glasses on here. And thank you so much, Serge. Thank you for being here last week too. I'm so glad I can actually respond during the show to your comment. It's such a beautiful comment. I'm going to read it out. Holy, holy, holy blessings to all of you, sending unconditional love, sending divine love, sending agape love to you, all holy family and friends, and beautiful emoticons. Thank you so much, Serge. That's beautiful. So appreciate your presence here today. And it's very healing and very uplifting, and what a blessing. Sending you lots of love and light right back too. So now, and I realized, oh my goodness, I jumped on so quickly today because I really wanted to get out for that walk. I just noticed now. It's always important to notice what we're noticing. I didn't change the name underneath, so I am actually Pollyanna Blanco. I've got a different name here today. I'll be more mindful of that next week. Sometimes that happens because they've kind of shifted a few things around in Restream of where you go in to put them in. And so I'm learning some new habits too. It's fun. In essence, we're all one anyways, right? So, well, on that note, before I close, I just want to share with everyone, in case you're catching this episode for the first time, that what inspired me to do this 7-part series is that I am celebrating a rebirthing moment too. This book that I created came out in 2014. It's the 10th anniversary of a book that took me 10 years to write. And it's called In Rhythm with Your Soul, Break Through the Barriers to Being Creative. And it is my baby, one of my creative babies of many that I've birthed and co-created with Spirit. And so I'm going to be starting a book club later on in October. It's going to be so much more than a book club. This is going to be sort of the text for many other experiences as jumping off points to really support you to get in rhythm with your soul, to help you to really follow and trust your creative, intuitive impulse so that you don't throw in the towel too soon. And this book really was it was a lived process of doing just that. And it's a very unique book. It's not your typical chakra book. It's not your typical dance book. And the dance in it can be literally for those people who love to dance like myself. I've been a dancer my whole life. And it can also be a metaphor for dancing through life and about understanding all the layers that are being revealed to us through the journey of honoring that creative intuitive impulse. Because, like I was just sharing today, there's that self-sabotage cycle that is ever present when we start to trust that deeper part of ourselves that is speaking to us. And this book, there's so many rich stories in it from my own journey and from other people. It's based on a little bit of Jungian psychology too. And as a chakra dance facilitator, gosh, I've been one for over 10 years now. I just say over 10 years because I'm losing track and like time's flying by. That's another thing that's near and dear to my heart. I've loved hosting workshops and retreats here and abroad. And literally, it's a Jungian dance therapy movement healing process too. And so there's a lot of good stuff to come. If you'd like to learn more about the book club and be the first to hear about it, because I'm going to keep it small and intimate, please subscribe to my newsletter. You can go to you can email me at info@pollyannablanco.com or just go to my website, www.pollyannablanco.com, and there's a pop-up that comes up where you can go to my newsletter and subscribe there. And I don't do tons of email mailouts. I'm moving now to a monthly musing, and it's chakra energy insight for the month for the collective. And then if there's announcements, I'll put them in email once, max twice a week, but usually it's once a week. It really fluctuates, but I will not fill your inbox. I don't like that in my own experience because I know there's so much information coming our way every day. I do want to get this into people's hands that it's meant to serve, because I know it completely opened me to new possibilities through the process of writing. And I know there are a lot of you out there too who feel inspired to write a book or feel inspired to create something, whether it's artistic or otherwise, or a passion project. And the world really needs you right now to trust yourself. And so I really hope that this book will help you when you wake up at 2 a.m. to not believe every thought you think, to trust yourself more, to love yourself more, to know you have the right to be here and to be yourself and to share your sacred soul gifts with the world, because the world will be the better for it. And the ripple effect from you honoring yourself and honoring your divine creativity is beyond the mind's comprehension. And together we are co-creating the new earth. Together we are making this the world we all want to live in together. And right now is the time, to really honor that. Also, if you are interested in exploring your own divine creative power, right now, I am co-hosting another show right now, and I haven't mentioned this before. I'm going to just share it today because I feel guided to. The Power of 8 book club. That's with Jennifer Smith. And so that's every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, and we do a live, and you can catch that on my Multidimensional Muse YouTube channel, depending on where you're catching this show here, and over at Meet the Light too. So, and I encourage you to check out shriankira.com because they have, if you haven't already, because I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart and soul for having me on Oneness Talk Radio, for offering me this opportunity to share with all of you, and to just help all of us as light workers to care as much for ourselves as we care for the world in these shifting times. So with that, I'm going to close and wish you lots of love and light, beautiful creative souls. Go off and have a wonderful day. Celebrate you. Know that you've got this. Trust yourself more, love yourself more, and know deep down in your heart and soul that no matter what's showing up for you right now, the universe wants you to have everything and sees everything that is in your heart and soul and is doing everything to conspire in the most positive of ways to help you to arrive in that place now. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Serge, for your comment, beautiful comment today. And I encourage you, if you're watching on the replay, to comment below, like it, subscribe, reach out to me if I can support you in any way on your journey. Lots of love and light, beautiful creative soul. Be well.